What if I told you a novel was written that predicted the sinking of the Titanic 14 years before the ship even existed? Or that two brothers, separated at birth, went on to live nearly identical lives without ever knowing the other was alive? It makes you wonder, what if history isn't just a random series of events? What if it's full of impossible glitches, eerie parallels, and stories that seem almost scripted? For centuries, we've looked for patterns in the chaos of the past. But every now and then, history throws us a puzzle that defies all logic. Moments so improbable, they feel like the work of a hidden hand. These aren't just myths. They're documented events that leave historians and scientists asking the same thing we are. What are the odds? Today, we're counting down the most bizarre historical coincidences ever recorded. Stories so unbelievable, they'll make you question everything you thought you knew about fate and destiny. The ship that sank twice. Our first story doesn't start in 1912 with the tragic maiden voyage of the RMS Titanic, but 14 years earlier. In 1898, an American author named Morgan Robertson, a former sailor who knew a thing or two about ships, published a novella called Futility. It told the story of a massive British ocean liner, the largest and most luxurious ship ever built, which was described as practically unsinkable. On a cold April night, this fictional vessel, named the Titan, strikes an iceberg while crossing the North Atlantic and sinks. The result is a catastrophic loss of life, mainly because it was carrying far too few lifeboats for its thousands of passengers. 14 years later, reality staged a terrifying echo of Robertson's fiction. The RMS Titanic, a real-life vessel also considered unsinkable, hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic on a cold April night and sank. The similarities are just uncanny. Robertson's fictional Titan was 800 feet long. The real Titanic was 882 feet long. The Titan was speeding at 25 knots. The Titanic at 22.5 knots. And most tragically, both ships had a shortage of lifeboats, leading to an immense loss of life. When the Titanic sank, people accused Robertson of being a clairvoyant. He denied it, insisting the similarities were just the logical result of his expert knowledge of shipbuilding. But for many, the parallels between the wreck of the Titan and the sinking of the Titanic remain one of history's most chilling premonitions, a story that feels like it was written in a book long before it happened on the open sea. The presidential curse, Lincoln and Kennedy. And if you think that's strange, get ready for this one. The lives and deaths of two of America's most iconic presidents, Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, are tangled together by a string of coincidences so specific they've become a modern legend. Let's just run through the facts. Both Lincoln and Kennedy were elected to Congress in the year 46. That's 1846 for Lincoln and 1946 for Kennedy. Both were then elected to the presidency in 60, 1860, and 1960, exactly 100 years apart. And both were deeply committed to advancing civil rights. But the parallels around their deaths are what get truly unsettling. Both presidents were assassinated on a Friday, shot in the head from behind, while sitting next to their wives. Both of their assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, were known by their three names, and both names are made up of 15 letters. In a final twist, both assassins were themselves killed before they could ever stand trial. But wait, it gets weirder. Lincoln was shot in Ford's theater. Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln car made by the Ford Motor Company. Booth ran from a theater and was caught in a barn. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. And to top it all off, both presidents were succeeded by a vice president named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, born in 1808, and Lyndon B. Johnson, born in 1908. While some parts of the legend are just myths, for instance, Lincoln didn't have a secretary named Kennedy. The sheer number of verified, uncanny overlaps has cemented this story as the king of historical coincidences. Is it just a statistical fluke, or a sign of some deeper, repeating pattern in history? These stories really make you wonder, don't they? If you're as fascinated by these hidden mysteries as we are, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got more mind-bending tales coming right up, and your support helps us keep digging. Now, let's get back to it. The King and His Double. Now, some stories are so good, they become the stuff of legend, where it's hard to tell where fact ends and fiction begins. This next story from Monza, Italy, is a perfect example. The legend goes that on July 28, 1900, King Umberto, the first of Italy, decided to have dinner at a small local restaurant. When the owner came to take his order, the king was shocked. The man was his perfect double, an identical twin he never knew he had. Intrigued, the king started chatting with the restaurateur, and the coincidences began to pile up. Both men were named Umberto. Both were born in the same town on the same day. They had both married a woman named Margherita, and both had a son named Vittorio. As if that wasn't enough, the restaurateur had opened his restaurant on the exact day Umberto the First was crowned King of Italy. Astonished, the king invited his doppelganger to an event with him the next day, but the man would never arrive. On the morning of July 29th, the restaurateur was killed in a shooting accident. When King Umberto was told the news, he expressed his deep regret. Just hours later, while greeting a crowd, an anarchist stepped forward, pulled out a gun, and assassinated him. Two men, whose lives had mirrored each other in so many incredible ways, reportedly died on the same day, both from gunfire. While historians consider the story apocryphal, it remains one of the most famous tales of a real-life doppelganger, the cosmic appointment of Mark Twain. Some coincidences feel like they were written in the stars. And that's certainly the case for one of America's greatest authors, Samuel Clemens, better known as Mark Twain. His life began and ended with a spectacular celestial event, the passing of Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet is visible from Earth roughly every 76 years. Mark Twain was born on November 30th, 1835, just 2 weeks after the comet made its closest approach to our planet. His entire life was lived in the long arc of this cosmic visitor's journey away from and back toward Earth. As he got older, Twain became very aware of this connection, and he leaned into it. In 1909, with the comet due to return the following year, he famously predicted his own death, saying, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it. It will be the greatest disappointment of my life if I don't go out with Halley's Comet. The Almighty has said, no doubt. Now here are these two unaccountable freaks. They came in together. They must go out together." He got his wish. On April 21st, 1910, just one day after Halley's Comet once again reached its closest point to the sun, Mark Twain died of a heart attack. The man who was born with the comet left with the comet, fulfilling his own prophecy and leaving the world with a story that perfectly blurs the lines between astronomy, life, and literature. The Hoover Dam's tragic symmetry. Not all coincidences are spread across a century. Some are etched into the very foundations of our greatest monuments. The Hoover Dam was a monumental feat of engineering built during the Great Depression, but it came at a huge human cost. Officially, 96 men died during its construction, and their stories bookend the project with a chilling, tragic symmetry. The very first man to die in connection with the Hoover Dam project was a surveyor named J.G. Tierney. On December 20th, 1922, while scouting for ideal spots in the treacherous terrain of the Colorado River, he was caught in a flash flood and drowned. His death marked the somber beginning of a long, dangerous construction process. Years went by, and thousands of men toiled to build the colossal structure. Finally, as the dam neared completion, the last official construction-related death occurred. It was December 20th, 1935. A worker fell from one of the intake towers and lost his life. His name was Patrick Tierney, the only son of J.G. Tierney, the first man who had died. Father and son, The first and last casualties of this massive project died on the exact same day, 13 years apart. It's a haunting coincidence that serves as a permanent, poignant memorial to the human price of progress. From a prophetic novel and synchronized presidential fates, to a king and his double, and an author tied to a comet, history is packed with moments that make you stop and wonder. Are these just random chance, the inevitable result of billions of lives and countless events playing out over millennia? Or are they hints of something more? A hidden script, a glitch in the matrix, or a universe that rhymes in ways we can't quite comprehend? The odds of any one of these stories happening are astronomical. The fact that they all did happen is part of our recorded past, challenging our understanding of what's possible. So, what do you think? Are these just mind-blowing coincidences? Or is there a hidden order to the chaos? Let me know which of these stories you found the most unbelievable in the comments below. And if you enjoyed unraveling these historical mysteries, don't forget to like and subscribe for more journeys into the unexplained. Thanks for watching.